All right, guys, welcome back. Today, I'm going to go through some comments on YouTube, and then we do have a few more asks. Something kind of interesting happened yesterday that I'm going to talk about, but let's look at these comments first. The first one is about the ram that we talked about, the ram symbol. Rams are usually the sacrificial animals, also a symbol of Mars, the god of war, who can kind of be connected to the Sirius symbol. Mars was the father of Romulus and Remus, who built Rome. They were nurtured by a wolf. Also, March, in the first month of spring, was named after him. Also, that time is the month when Sirius is visible at sunset. Spain is mostly a chaotic country, though, but they were influenced by the Roman Empire back then, who also had their own era of polytheism. I don't know if I'm reaching far, though. No, I actually love all of the connections to Sirius. I really like that. That's super cool. And I did mean to talk about in the video, and I don't think I did. I got distracted and forgot. But the fact that the ram is often the sacrificial animal, and especially in the Bible, right? Because we know there's a lot of biblical symbolism in the show. Um, we have this thing where Father Gabriel said some really wacky things at the end of season 5 when he and Sasha were yelling at each other when Sasha almost kills him. And he talks about how they sacrificed one of their own. And we've always pointed to that as something that happened with Beth because there's no, based on what we saw in season 5 and, around Coda and everything, there's nothing that happened that they showed us specifically directly on screen that would qualify to be what he was talking about. How did they sacrifice one of their own? They didn't. Beth was shot, but on accident, and the same with Tyrese. He got bitten, but that wasn't anybody's fault. They didn't do it on purpose. Um, so how were one of them a sacrifice? And then the only other person who we can point to who died was Noah, but he sacrificed himself so that others could get away. And it just doesn't seem like that's really what Gabriel's talking about anyway. So the point is, we've always said that Beth, in a lot of ways, was a sacrifice because it was very senseless, because of a lot of things. But, it's like, what was he talking about? What was he specifically thinking of when he said that? And they've never told us. So we've always seen that as something that points to, whatever happened during the missing 17 days that we haven't seen. But the point is, it's really interesting to me that the ram is always a sacrificial animal, and it's very specifically in the story of Abraham and Isaac, because in the story of Abraham and Isaac, Abraham was going to sacrifice his son, but then he didn't have to, and Isaac actually lived. So in that case, it's important to understand, we always call Beth the Christ figure, and if you in Christian mythology, not really mythology, but in Christian teachings of the Bible, um, it's understood that Isaac is a foreshadow of Christ, right? There's a ton of symbolism in that story that lines up with when Christ was actually crucified and everything. So part of it is a foreshadow of Christ's sacrifice, which is to come, but of course that's not happening until thousands of years later. But the point is, Isaac didn't actually have to die, and instead there was this ram that was sacrificed. And I just can't believe at all that that is not being employed in some way through the symbolism. Like Gimple knows about that, the writers know about that, and they specifically are choosing this ram as a symbol rather than something else. I mean, it would make sense to use any other animal that was like an innocent animal, like a lamb or some sort of a fawn, like a baby deer or something, but that's not what they're using. They're using a ram, and the ram is specifically used in the Bible as the sacrificial animal that allows the person who was going to be sacrificed to live. You see what I'm saying? So that's really interesting. And I meant to address that and I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. But yeah, I do like all of these other connections you're making to Sirius, Romulus, Remus, Mars, all of that. That's fantastic. I love it. All right, next comment. I can't wait to dive into this one. I'm sure she has filmed, meaning Emily, in Georgia, and they have a studio there. So literally, they could be filming her set anywhere, not specifically Georgia. There's also Athens, Georgia, so it's not that uncommon to have European names for U.S. town names. Very true. And especially in Georgia, there's quite a few of them. So you kind of have to wonder if maybe that's how they originally pulled the Rome symbolism is to, I mean, obviously it's plenty of mythology going on around Rome and Romulus and Remus. It's very famous, right? But because they conveniently had those names in Georgia, it would be very easy to then incorporate that symbolism. So yeah, thank you. This is more on the penguin. The penguin stuffed animal was from Daryl Dixon 1-1, found in the boat at the beginning. And I answered, I can't help but feel that this is purposeful symbolism. If the stuffed penguin symbolically equals Daryl's happy ending and he finds it on a boat when he gets to Europe, I mean, I feel like we can see that as, the details being really, really paralleled there in a really granular way. So that's kind of awesome, right? To address one of the comments in the video, I don't think she necessarily needs to have memory loss for her to have not found Team Family. I mean, she had no idea where they were going. She doesn't know about Alexandria. It's possible she went back to the farm, prison, wherever looking for them, but beyond those places, how would she even remotely know or be able to find out? And I don't think the show ending in season 4 is a bad thing at all. As much as I love the show, the whole point of the show is him finding a happy ending. Once he does, the mission statement of the show is completed. I know as Bethel fans, we want tons of episodes of them together as a couple, but I think we'll get that in the eventual reunion show with all of Team Family. I agree. I totally agree with that. And the reply I made is that, yeah, I mean, she wouldn't really have any way to figure out where they've gone. She doesn't have a phone. She doesn't have the internet like we do. And I've also always wondered if, I've talked about this before, if possibly she went to Terminus and saw some of the stuff they left behind and maybe thinks they're all dead, another possibility. It's not even necessary for Beth to be in Europe. Daryl could find out from someone that Beth is alive in the US, and then there would be no way to keep Daryl away from his home slash Beth. And I think that's a really good point because we always say that home is where the family is, and of course, Beth's name means home. But it would be really interesting if she was back home, and so he was literally going there to find her or something. So I said, yeah, for sure. And we've even considered that maybe she was in Europe and he finds some indication of that, but then when he finds her, she'll actually be back in Georgia or something. Who knows? I'm here for it either way. So again, this quote goes back to, is he going to find a picture of her? Is he going to hear her voice on the radio? We don't know. We don't know. But a lot of people have also thought that there might be another search where he's actually searching for her. Yes, I mean, we say that symbolically that's true right now, even though he doesn't know he's going to run into her. This is kind of, it's where it's leading. But it would also be interesting if he found out she had been there and then goes looking for her again. Then it would be, him purposely and consciously searching for her. Or it could be that he really does find her there, but then she gets taken away again, much like in season 5. So he has to chase her and go find her that way. I mean, there's just a lot of different possibilities. So the penguin. It's the episode analysis video I left the comment on, LOL, Daryl Dixon 1-1, where he gets on the boat and is listening to the recording of the guy talking about his 10th anniversary with his wife. He looks at family picture where a child is holding a penguin, and then he picks that stuffed penguin up himself on the boat. And Norman, specifically at Comic-Con 2025, used the term penguin in terms of how Daryl falls in love. Yeah, that can't be a coincidence, right? Once again, they're given talking points and they very often use symbolism in their talking points. We've seen Norman do it before, so no way that's a coincidence. This is also reminding me, just as I'm sitting here thinking about it, do you remember in Acheron? I don't remember whether it was part 1 or 2. There was a pink bunny rabbit. And it was very similar. Like he had a picture of, I think it was 2 kids, and the little girl was holding the rabbit. And they just found the rabbit. And I remember I think Maggie picked it up and was looking at it, but then she dropped it and we could see them stepping on it. And back then, even we really connected that to Beth and the fact that, it might be symbolic of them leaving her behind, especially where Maggie is concerned, right? But Daryl kept the picture of the kids and folded it up and kept it. And I can't help but wonder if that was symbolism that is pointing to the same thing as this penguin symbolism is. In this case, he didn't, uh, well, he did have a picture and he was listening to it on the recording. So anyway, I'll have to keep that in mind as we go along and see if I can connect anything there. I feel like they are grabbing the medieval era and taking it into modern days. I mean, Templars, the Grimane, the Pilgrimane, the possible human sacrifices, Daryl doing some jousting on his bike. I'm so excited for the jousting scene. I watched that and I was going, why have we not done this before? This is so fun. I'm really curious where it is going to. I just seen today Book Queen's post about episodes mirroring previous seasons, and one scene shows a barn that is the, oh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, I'm sorry. I'm not going to try, I'll slaughter it. One of the popular sites in the Pilgrimage in uh, Combero. They were used in the Middle Ages to store grain and food. Um, I don't know how to connect it other than how Book Queen Rules explained that it could mirror the barn scene after the missing 17 days in the flagship show when the music box came alive. So fingers crossed. Yeah, so a couple of things here. One that I replied was that I definitely think everything about Daryl Dixon season 3 is going to be symbolic, like a symbolic replay. Just the fact that he's searching for this missing girl is a replay of him searching for Beth in season 5. So I'm sure that this is all true. Um, the other thing, though, is that we saw a lot of emphasis back in seasons like 5 through 7 on grains, especially sorghum. And so I wonder if that might play into it too, although I'd have to look more closely to figure out how. So yeah, really interesting stuff. On another interesting note, they originally have crosses at their tops. They are for the protection of the families and sailors. On the spoiler, we have one without a cross and a boat that is likely damaged. So many ends to connect and no handy book to explain which ends to connect. Yeah, and I just hope that eventually Gimple gives us that little handbook so that we can figure out what he was thinking about. That's what I wrote here. This one says, I don't know that there will be a lot of parallels with the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think they're more referring to the set to that the aesthetic and general tone of the season, not necessarily parallels or plot points. I've seen it many times, but I do agree that if the episode 5 is the ultimate Western episode, um, that that's the actual finale then. Yeah, so I guys, I still haven't watched it, but I'm gonna try like tonight as I'm recording this. So it could be that there won't be that many parallels, and that's fine. It really could just be more of a, like you said, a Western aesthetic and the feel of it. But a few people have also said that they think they see parallels. So I'll check it out and let you know what I come up with. So thank you for all those comments. I mean, they add a lot of insight to what we were already talking about. So thank you so much to those who are commenting. Let's hop over and do just a few asks here. One of the main things I really wish someone told me prior to becoming a TDer permanently forever is the fact that it's practically a long-term, if not a lifetime investment mentally, emotionally, spiritually, astrologically, and medically to a certain degree because of the amount of delays for our girl, Beth Mother effing Green's return. The hate from the trolls, the times our theories have been proven incorrect, but still kept going strong. It's definitely not for the weak, and that says a lot about us. Yes, it does. That's a nice thing to say. It definitely does. But I think yeah, I mean, not only does it show character, but it also builds character. When I first started out, I was just as affected by the trolls and by the negativity as anyone else, but over time, it just taught me to have a thicker skin basically online. Um, so yeah, thank you. I really like that. All right, I said something kind of interesting happened yesterday. I had a couple of people send me this. Norman posted this picture on his Instagram with no comment, as Rogue Ostrich says here. Norman just posted this on his Insta story. No caption or anything. Is this from Consumed? It is, yes. And let's look over this one too. Like I said, a few people sent it to me. Well, look what Norman posted today. Can you spot the episode? This is from Consumed, where they are looking for Beth. Norman really is a master of posting things that mean nothing to the naked eye, but have very specific meaning to those who know what they are from. Thanks, Norman. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you guys, we're still a few weeks out, but essentially we're in the time period right before Daryl Dixon season 3 starts, and he's posting them looking for Beth. And this not only is them looking for Beth, I mean, think about how it ends. It's not like them looking for Beth and they never found her. This is right before they find her. So yeah, this is a pretty big deal. It's it's pretty wild that he's posting this here. And I don't know, I think I want to read more into specifically the scene he's posting, and I don't know that I necessarily should. It could be that he just found the most innocuous picture he possibly could find that wouldn't mean, this particular scene, you're not really reading into Daryl by himself or Carol by herself or the two of them together. You know what I mean? But at the same time, this is them on a bridge. So we've got the bridge symbolism. This is right before the van goes off the bridge, which was also important as a symbol. And I mean, this was them actively searching for her. There were times when they stopped and were talking, the two of them, and talking about themselves and their own problems, mentioning Lizzie and Mika, or, and this was not that. This was them. Um, this is literally them walking over to the van, and the van is a Grady van. And so it's them walking over to, what am I trying to say here? The thing that tells them where she is, right? Because before that, they had no idea, just somewhere in the city, could be anywhere. But when they figure out that the cross is from Grady Memorial Hospital, that's how they know where to go to look for her. So I would say this actually, if that's true, and if I'm not reading too much into this and being too granular about it, I talked about how when we first got the trailer a few weeks ago, that I almost felt like the group, especially the ones that are wearing the ram's skulls, right, might in some way lead to her, and we don't know if that's going to be the case. Obviously, we have to wait and see what happens in the season, but I feel like this almost might show that it's like he's telling us we're finally going to get the thing that's going to tell him where she is at the very least. Anyway, or it's just a really innocuous picture and he's hinting that this is what's going on. So I don't know. But either way, it's definitely fun to look at. And yeah, this made everybody pretty happy yesterday when he posted this. So thank you for sending that in, everyone who did. Final ask for now, not a question, but I'm honestly really hoping people still record their reactions to TWD episodes and post them on YouTube because I really want to see live reactions to Beth coming back from fans who have been watching all these years. I hope so too. Yeah, for sure. I will admit that I'm a little bit excited to have her. I mean, obviously, there's lots of reasons we're going to be excited for her to appear, but one of them is because I've been telling family members and friends this for 10 years, and of course, they don't believe me. They're like, it's been 10 years, you need to get off that. And so, I'm excited to like send them a screenshot of her return and be like, oh, would you look at that? And yes, that's me being a little bit of a snot about it, but anyway, yeah, I hope people do this too, and everybody should. Everybody needs to, who feels comfortable doing it, should record a reaction and share everything that happens. And I've said this before, but when it does, we really need to, even if you're not recording a reaction, even if you're just doing a post or something, we need to make a lot of noise online in a good way and let the writers and AMC and the show know how happy we are about it because you know that the trolls and certain ships are going to be screaming angry, and we need to try to counter that with just showing our support, I think. So everyone just get prepared to do that is all I mean. So yeah, thank you for sending that in, and I hope we see a lot of that too. That'll be really fun. All right, I think I'm going to call it there for today. That's what I have. I'm going to try to get my thoughts on the good, the bad, and the ugly posted probably over the weekend. Yeah, and so I'll be back very soon. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys later.